Welcome back to part 4. Kind of sad. This is the finale
Yeah.
of the, I know, right, of the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. Val is obviously back. Thanks for coming back, Val.
Thanks for having
we're,
me.
we're so happy to have you. I just wanted to mention a couple of quick things for everybody while we're on this today. It's helpful if your microphone is muted, only, when Val is obviously presenting. If you have questions, put them in the chat box. If you'd like to introduce yourself, we are all about networking, so please use the chat box for that as well. Feel free to put in there name, contact, what you do. If you have any events coming up yourself that you'd like to promote, that would be great. Val will be referencing quite a few things today, and we did send in advance some handouts. Hopefully you did receive them. If not, look at your email. They should have come about an hour ago. And those are, there's a workbook as well as a couple of worksheets that she will be referencing and you'll be working off of today and in the future. As well, there might be other important links we'll make sure we put in there. Ben is also a part of our organization, and he helps with the technical back end of what we're doing. So if anything comes up, you lose connection, you're having a problem hearing or something, please email Ben at ben@corpevent.com. Next, a little bit about Community. Ed, I don't know, you're here. Would you like to share? Otherwise, sure. I also have just so you know, I have a slide with the upcoming events, the networking and the event that'll take place in October.
I can go, real simple. Community is the idea of being able to pull together people in our sphere. Managing associations, we work with 32 different organizations and want to be sure that we are able to connect people, to provide educational opportunities like this, to promote events that some of our associations have. And that's the genesis of Community. So you'll see invitations from time to time for educational networking programs, community programs, and hopefully when you have an opportunity, please join, whether it be online or in person. And we're always open to ideas of programs and ideas that we could host. So let Kim know or myself know if you have some ideas that you would like to host, and then I'll let you, Kim, talk about the upcoming stuff.
Sure. Okay. So thanks, Ed. So I just put up a slide here for you to jot down a couple dates. Really, you'll find everything on the website as well. It will be added this week, but right now we are working on a networking event at the Paul and Jean Harris home. Really exciting. This is going to be brought to us by the Rotary Club of Chicago and the Business Executives Association. Sounds like we're going to have some tours. Obviously, we'll have refreshments and some food, and really just fun. And we will be donating a portion of the tickets to the Paul and Jean Harris home. So really fun thing for August 17th to look forward to. And then we're going to have a leadership summit, and that's going to come up in October, towards the end of October. We're really working on it right now. Valerie Leonard is a part of it, which we're really excited about. The focus is going to be on sustainability. So wanted to mention that so you can jot that down on your calendars. And Val, with no further ado, let's get you going here. We're really excited to see how we're going to, the last 3 sessions have been wonderful, and there's been so much knowledge sharing and great information. And now today, I think everyone's going to see that you're going to be able to pull it all together and show us how we can now move forward and really assess who we are as leaders, who our teams are as leaders, and how we can put a plan together. Okay, so I'm going to hand it over to you, and I'll see y'all at the end. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. I want to say thank you so much again to Kim for having me. It's been a wonderful ride. I feel like I have newfound friends. I don't feel like we're just putting presentations together for the first time. You guys have really, really made me feel welcome. I want to say thank you to people who have been with us for the entire time, as well as those newcomers today. Everyone has made me feel welcome. I think you've added significant value to the presentation by sharing your own experiences. And it's interesting, no matter how many times this content is shared, no two people come out of it, with the same experience and same application. So that's a wonderful thing. So as you may recall, we have just gone through the book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. We reviewed the books and focused on, some of the high lessons, tried to give application of those lessons to our own lives. We did breakouts, and each of you did a wonderful job of sharing insights and then sharing out the results of your discussion. And today we're going to focus on developing an individual leadership plan. So the purpose of going through the 21 Irrefutable Laws is to give you some ideas of, good leadership lessons, how you can apply them to your lives. But today we're going to talk about the individual leadership plan. We're also going to, after the presentation, go over a few assessment tools that you can use to, further give you inspiration. And basically, when I think about the individual leadership plan, it's like doing an individual SWOT analysis, looking at some of your strengths, some of your weaknesses, some of your opportunities professionally, and some of the threats to your being able to complete those plans. So without further ado, I'm just going to go over how one might do such a plan. And this is really going to be, this is going to be our shortest presentation of the lot, but I think it'll be the most impactful. And if you can just bear with me, I want to be able to move my screen a little bit. I'm trying to advance my slides. Okay. I'm not sure what's going on here. My computer has a mind all of its own. I'm going to stop the share and share again and see if that will make a difference. I ended up getting some character that I'm not sure what to do with. All right. See if that helps. All righty. Again, thank you, Cam, for having me. It's a blast, I tell you. I'm going to advance past the nonprofit Utopia slides and the all about me slide. I think you know enough about me. And here is, basically some steps that you can do to help you brainstorm. And the first thing you want to do is understand your why for creating the plan. Is the plan for you personally? There's some things that you would like to develop as a person. Is it for some things you'd like to develop as a professional? Are there some things that you'd like to develop as one who is participating in our society, on a civic level? For example, organizations that might deal with things like voter registration or, social justice issues and all of that stuff. But each of those different situations will probably call for different strategies. But, regardless, that will help you, develop your North Star. Why are you doing this in the first place? And then the next thing we need to think about is the context. And when we talk about context, we're basically talking about, what's the situation? What's the current situation within which you're doing this plan? What are some of the hot buttons within that situation? So are you doing this for work? Are you doing it for school, your home or your family, church, civic organization, local organization? And if so, what are some of the key issues that you're confronting, right? So kind of think of it as a story unfolding, what is going on to set the backdrop for the story. And then your what could include current events, what's happening at work, what's happening at school, what are some of the issues, what are some of the problems, are there challenges, are there driving factors behind those problems or challenges? And then, what are the consequences for maintaining the status quo? What are the consequences for not taking any action whatsoever? And then you're thinking about who you're making this plan for, right? And when we think about the who, obviously it's for you, right? But then who's going to be impacted by the change you make for yourself, either personally or professionally, right? So who cares? Really, who cares about this process? How can they help you? Are they supportive, or are you in an environment that seems a little combative, right? Whether people are supportive or combative, they're still stakeholders because they're going to be impacted by this transformation that you're about to make. So how will their support or lack of the support from them impact your process? And then how can you develop mutually beneficial strategies? So we have to remember that even though we're developing these plans for us, others around us are going to be impacted. And if we're going to be looking for their support, it would be helpful to have a situation where there's give and take, not they give to us information and advice and we just take it and suck it all up. You have to make it worth the while for people who are helping you along the process. So if you're doing this, for a work environment, what's in it for your colleagues? What's in it for your boss? What's in it for your subordinates, right? You're doing it for your family. What's in it for your spouse, your children, your parents, etc. And then you think about who inspires you. And the reason why you go through this who inspires you phase is you want to be able to, really brainstorm and get some ideas. And sometimes we have a tendency to think that there's nothing great about us. We feel that we're ordinary, but then we start looking, it helps if we start looking at people who are inspirational, right? And inspirational within the space that you're trying to impact. So it could be local work heroes, or it could be heroes of who are people who are doing similar work and all of that good stuff. But as you begin to look at these people and analyze them, they might even have similar qualities that you have that you just never think about. So when you think about who inspires you, remember the context. So remember why you're doing it, where you're doing it, and what it is you're trying to achieve. And the people that you can get who are most relevant to what it is you're trying to achieve, the better. Even if they're famous people that you may never have met, they still may have a story that resonates with you and experiences you've had or experiences that you want to have. So you want to develop a list of strong leaders, and these are people that you view as strong leaders, and not just list them, indicate why you think they're strong leaders. In fact, you might want to even have a list of criteria before you even go and develop that list. All right, so when you look at that list, look at the qualities that make them strong leaders, right? So if there are any other leadership qualities that you haven't listed, then you might want to take an opportunity to add them to the list. And, sometimes as you're thinking about the people, there may be a list, a person you left off your list. And then you want to do the same thing You want to do a mirror image for all the people who least inspire you. You know, I think we all can think of some people that we really, really, really don't want to be like. But then, you know, after we get to analyze it, we might find out that we have some of those bad qualities in common. So again, you want to go through the same exercise, and being mindful of the context within which you're doing this, you know, doing the plan. You know, is it for work? Is it for home and family? Is it for your civic engagement? Right? And then you want to develop a list of people who are operating in similar environments, the same environment, or have similar experiences. And then you want to list people that you believe are flawed leaders. And then you make a list of those qualities that make them flawed leaders. And then if there are other leadership qualities that can be added to those qualities, to that list of qualities that make people bad leaders, then you might want to add those. And then here's the really challenging part, you know, self-assessment, right? Looking at our own leadership capacity, looking at our own strengths and challenges. So, you know, I have some tools that you can use to assess your own strengths and challenges, also to assess your skills. But, you know, these tools don't capture everything. So in addition to what these assessments are measuring or helping you to measure, you might want to expand on that list of your skills. They could be personal skills, interpersonal skills, technical skills, etc. And then you know, take a hard look at yourself. How do you see yourself in terms of your ability to influence others? And, you know, when you think about leadership, as John Maxwell says, it's influence, nothing more and nothing less. You know, can you motivate people to lead them to fulfill a common vision? How do other people view your leadership ability? You know, how do your superiors view your leadership ability? How do your peers view your leadership ability? How do your subordinates view your leadership ability? How do your friends, family? You know, it'll be interesting to, you know, for you to take these assessments and then have others take the same assessments, you know, with you in mind, to see, you know, see if there are any similarities in the responses, see if there are any differences. And if you're part of a team, you might consider doing this type of a plan for a team, right? So the team can work together to develop their own skills, right? And then other things you might want to ask, you know, how do you like to do your work? What environments do you thrive in? Is this environment actually a good fit for your personality, for your work skills, for your style, for what you're even allowed to do? So some of the popular tools are the John Maxwell's leadership assessment tool, and you have a tool that is based on his tool in your packet. The Briggs-Meyer, I think a number of us have taken those tests when we were looking for jobs or working in certain jobs. And you also have a copy of the Leadership as Fit by Human Dynamics Institute. So the John Maxwell's leadership assessment tool, that tool is basically developed so that you can, you know, do a very, very quick and dirty assessment of your skills in terms of leadership, you know, looking at how well people follow you. It's not a scientific tool, but it at least gives you some feedback. And it gives you some gauge of things that you feel that you should work on and things you might even be able to help others with. The Briggs-Meyer test, as you know, is based on personality, and you really could use those results, especially if you're working in teams, help, you know, it helps you to understand the motivations of others on your team so that you can communicate better, so that you can actually develop better strategies to motivate people. The second tool, Leadership is Fit by Human Dynamics Institute. That is a very, very short tool. That tool is used to help you understand better what environment in what environment you work best or more comfortable. Do you like to work in a more structured environment on one end of the spectrum? On the other end of the spectrum, do you actually thrive in what I would call a chaotic environment? One person's chaos is another person's nirvana. But, are you one who does not like a lot of hierarchy? You prefer to work in a more, I guess, nimble, flexible environment where it feels like you're kind of making up rules as you go. It might feel like that to me, right? Because I'm one who I thought like structure, but I'm actually somewhere in the middle. But, people who are really keen on structure may not like the flat matrix style environment. So whatever, I'm spending too much time on that. You're going to have a chance to see, what environments you thrive best in or you prefer. And it'll be interesting too for you to understand whether the environment that you prefer is actually the type of environment within which you're working. And then you might need to too understand whether or not if the environment is not ideal for you, you might look at ways you need to adapt. You might also look at ways you might advocate for change, realizing that it's very, very difficult, especially if you're not at the very top of that leadership pyramid, or if you are in a very large, complex environment, it may be very difficult to actually change the environment to suit you. You may end up thinking, you know what, maybe I need to be somewhere else, right? You will also, after doing that, develop a list of your core values, right? So those core values are those things that are very, very important to you. Those are things that you won't compromise on. Some of us, have been very self-aware and we've made lists and we know exactly what we won't compromise. But for most of us, it's probably a more visceral kind of thing where, we are caught up in a situation where we have to make controversial decisions or decisions about controversial issues. And our core values, the things that are important to us, the things that we view as right and wrong, those are going to determine how we respond. And it's interesting too, in many instances, we find that organizations or groups might define core values, a list of core values, a list of things that they say they stand for example, honesty, integrity, transparency, teamwork, blah, blah, blah. But then when we look at how they actually behave, especially in those moments when their backs are up against the wall and their behavior may not necessarily line up with their list of core values. So if torn between a list of core values and what true core values are, the true core values are really aligned with your actions and not necessarily your words. As it is with organizations, the same it is with us. I know if we're honest with ourselves, in some instances we'll say we stand for X, Y, and Z, and we believe that we stand for X, Y, and Z. And then there will be very, very controversial moments that will really test what we say we believe. And then those things that we do are actually what we believe. But at any rate, you want to make a list of your own personal core values, the way you approach life, the way you approach choices. And typically, again, those are unwavering. And I think it's important too, if you compare your own core values with the stated core values of your group or organization, and then the actual core values and the environment within which you work. That might be a very interesting exercise in and of itself. That could be another clue as to whether or not you're in quote unquote the right environment. And when I say the right environment, I'm talking about an environment within which, you know, you thrive, right? You can really have a better chance of maintaining momentum. The next thing you do is write a personal vision statement. And again, you know, we've all seen vision statements, you know, for organizations, but this time, you know, you're doing a personal vision statement for yourself. So it's basically, how do you see yourself in the future? What's going to be different about you? What's going to be the transformation? What's going to change for you as a direct result of the actions that you're going to take in this plan, right? So you're going to be looking at your personal traits as well as your core values. And then you should also, you know, look to your self-assessment results. And then, you know, ponder, you know, we all ask ourselves this from time to time. This time you're going to write it down. Who am I and why am I here? And we often do this when we're in what we call mission-based work, that is, you know, work that either is affiliated with a church or a religious group, or work that is related to somehow changing the world for the better. Even if that's not why you're doing this exercise, it's still very important to know who you are, why you're here, you know, so you can know, you know, how to go forward. The personal vision statement will become your personal constitution. It's going to be a physical reminder for you to see where you've been, where you are, where you want to go. So again, just like we do this for our own strategic planning processes within our organizations, you're going to be doing that same kind of thing for yourself personally, whether this is for work, whether it's for home, whether it's for the volunteer and civic engagement you do, or even in school, right? So when you outline your vision, you'll have something to look back on when it comes time to develop your goals and write an action plan. And another good reason to write your vision down is, you know, when times get hard, and I know they will, you have to always remember your why. Remember why you're doing this work. Remember what you're trying to achieve. And that vision, that lofty vision, can help you keep motivated when you want to quit. So here's an example. This is from Amanda Steinberg. She's the founder of dailyworth.com. Her personal vision statement is to use her gifts of intelligence, charisma, and serial optimism to cultivate the self-worth and net worth of women around the world. So in her case, her personal vision statement is not even about herself changing. You know, she's looking at, you know, the transformation that she's going to cause for women who aren't as fortunate as she. Next thing you want to do is ground yourself in reality. So we all see ourselves one way, and then we need to also understand what others think about us. Not that what they think, you know, is going to determine for us where we go and whether or not we need to abandon our plans, but it helps us to be aware of how we come across to others. And another reason why that's important is, if you don't really understand how you're being perceived by others, it will make it, you know, a little bit more difficult to actually motivate people, right? So you also want to consider sharing your results with others, and then administering the same assessment tools to other people and comparing the results. Again, you know, you might want to do a 360 where you're sharing an assessment tool about yourself to your superiors, to your peers, and to your subordinates, Or if you want to do this as a team, be more effective as a team within your department, you guys can all assess your team and your accomplishments and compare those results. And then inevitably, you're going to see some patterns that start to emerge. And then there will be similarities and differences of perception around the table. You know, if you're doing a 360 or if you're doing this as a group or just doing these exercises. I know for me, I was pleasantly surprised that I wasn't quite as narrow and rigid as I thought. You know, I'm somewhere in the middle in terms of preference of a work environment. You know, so that's one example. You know, you might find that you have stronger leadership skills than you thought you had. And whatever those patterns are, take note of those patterns because it's that information that's going to help you to develop a stronger plan for yourself. And then next, you want to examine your skills. So you want to look at your hard skills and your soft skills and see what skills you already have as a foundation. And remember, this is within the context of your plan. You know, is the plan for a personal development? Is it for professional development? Is it for development within an organization for which you volunteer or, you know, some other civic engagement? So you want to focus on the skills that you have that serve as a foundation for that. And then you also want to look at what skills do you need to, you know, to make the transformation that you'd like to make. And think about how you're going to get those skills. Is it going to be additional training, additional education, on the job, volunteer civic engagement? Will you have a mentor? You know, for those personal situations, mentorship and, you know, life coaching might also play a role too. And then you think about who can help you. You know, usually the people who can help you most are people who are already doing what you'd like to do in the future. And then how will you help those people? Remember, it's a two-way street. You know, if people are going to take the time to pour into us, we need to make sure that we can help those people who are pouring into us achieve things that they need to achieve. And then we also need to develop goals and objectives. And just like we do SMART goals for our strategic plans and for our program development and all that other stuff, we need to do those goals and objectives for ourselves. So the goals are what we want to achieve. So it's this broad, sweeping statement of what we want to achieve. And then the objectives are how we're going to do it, right? And SMART stands for specific, measurable, achievable, you know, meaning it's something that's realistic within our capability and obviously realistic, and then timely. So again, and when we say timely, we want a deadline on it. And then also realistic is not only, you know, is it within our capability, but, you know, is it relevant to what it is that we're trying to achieve? All right. So the next thing is to develop the plan itself. So you're going to have a plan that describes, you know, your own leadership style, your strengths and weaknesses, goals and objectives, the activities, right, that you're going to participate in to help you meet the goals and objectives. You will find a mentor, and then you will also keep your stakeholders abreast of your progress. It's not that you have to expose, you know, things that are highly personal, but, you know, it helps to let people know, you know, that you're on this journey and let them know, you know, that you're progressing and they can help you to stay accountable. And then the next thing is just to do it. All right. And it looks like there's some comments in chat. I'm going to check those out. I didn't, okay, how much time to expect this type of planning to take, and what kind of time should we be carving out of our schedules? And I would say that that varies from person to person. When I do exercises like this, I usually block off, say, at least an hour of time, because I could be really, really self-reflective. I do a lot of journaling. So I'd like to journal my thoughts and then double back. All right. So I would say that it would take, I guess if you're looking at the time it would take to complete this whole exercise, I would say anywhere from 2 to 8 hours. And that's taking into account all of the assessments, and it takes into account all of the reflections and, the answers that you would have. But it should not be something that's overwhelming, especially since, for the most part, this is going to be very, very personal to you. If this is an exercise that, you're doing at 360, it may take a little bit longer than, like I said, anywhere from 2 to 8 hours. And this is total. I'm not expecting you to do this in one day. I'm just talking about total. It may take a little bit longer because you're taking in feedback, and there's an exchange of information from the group. And then also, if you are enlisting a mentor or somebody for a sounding board, if you have other stakeholders that you want to take on the journey, it may take a little bit longer because you've got to carve out time to meet with them and, let them know what it is you're trying to do and get some of their feedback. But again, I would say, anywhere from 2 to 8 hours. Okay. All righty. Yeah. How much time do we have? Okay, we have about 20 minutes. So what I'll do is I will walk you through some of the handouts. And if there's time, and if there's such a desire, you might consider responding to, one or two of the assessment questions. And or if there's not enough time, because generally we're done between 1 o'clock and 1:15. If there's some time, you might want to talk about maybe some of the aha moments you get as a result of reviewing some of the questions. All right, so at this point, okay. Someone suggested that we just, take time now to do Q&A. All right, so if you want to take yourself off mute with the question. Any questions? Oh, while we're going through the exercises too. All right, so I'm going to, I'll walk you through. I'll walk you through the handouts. And these might generate some questions. All right, so the first thing is the assessment tool. This is the John Maxwell tool. You should have gotten this in hold on, for some reason it's showing blank. I don't know why my tool is showing blank. Okay, I do apologize, but there are some very simple questions. Okay, can you see the leadership tool now? All right. So these are questions for self-reflection. And basically, the first set of questions are, very, very general, questions about, whether or not you even have a plan for personal growth. And I think most people do, whether they write it down or not. And then the next set of questions, you rate yourself on a scale of 0 to 4 on how strong you view your specific leadership skills. And then you can add those numbers up. And then, you can look at what your score means, right? So if you're below 60, you need growth. And you may not even be ready to be mentored. So that's interesting. Some of us may need development to a point where a mentor can't help us yet, right? Because we're not at a point where we know what we need help on. 60 to 69, you're bursting with potential. You're an excellent person to be developed. If you get a score of 70 to 79, you are an emerging leader. And you should focus on growth and begin mentoring others. 80 to 89, you're a good leader and you must keep growing and keep mentoring others. And then when you get to the point of 90 to 100, you're a great leader and you should be mentoring not only other followers, but also you should be mentoring other leaders. Are there any questions about that particular exercise before I share the other handouts?
So Valerie, if you fall below, if you're in that lower number, I haven't done the assessment yet, but just asking. And you need to work on the growth, like, okay, then what do you do? Like, where do you go for that?
Right. I would start off by reading the 21 Irrefutable laws.
That makes sense. No, it's really, yeah.
Seriously, because that, I think that sums up leadership in a nutshell. And there's some exercises in the book, some self-reflection exercises that you can do in the book. There's also a workbook that that can help you, and it gives you some some direction.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, I had a question. This is Crystal.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed in the assessment key where it tells you what your number is as you go up, like when you begin to be an emerging leader, it starts to tell you to begin mentoring. So the mentoring is to keep your skills up. Is that why they have you? Is this why they're suggesting that you do mentoring or continue mentoring? Is that a way to keep your skills sharp and up?
It's a way to keep your skills sharp and up. And some of my biggest learning is actually when I teach, if that sounds a little crazy, but it's true. The same is true for being a leader, but I get the sense from reading 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership that the rationale behind developing other leaders is we all want to leave a legacy behind, and the best way to leave a legacy is to train other leaders, so then we can replicate ourselves and our lessons through others, and that's very difficult to do when you're mentoring people who are not yet leaders, right? Because you have to do more one-on-ones. But if you are mentoring leaders, then they also have the leadership ability to go and get others, right? So your impact becomes exponential versus linear being one at a time, right? Exponential being I'm mentoring this one person, then that person goes and touches 2 other leaders, leads them, and those 2 bring in 2 other leaders. So
Right.
it's
It
to,
reminds me of a quote of Zig Ziglar where he says it's lonely at the top. That's what it reminds me of.
yeah, it is like a pyramid, and I'm not saying this is a pyramid scheme, but yeah, that's the visual.
Yeah. Thank you.
Hmm. Hey, Carl, nice of you to
Hey,
join us.
yes, I've been trying to get on for the last few sessions, but scheduling conflicts. But I had time today, so I decided to hop on. And so I'm glad you brought your attention towards me because I was gonna, before I highlight a book, I wanted to highlight this one,
Ah,
John Maxwell,
ah,
Hey,
yes.
Successful.
Carl.
This is my little tool. I read
Hmm.
this all the time to give me some relevance. But I'm reading the book right now, so I wanted to plug that before I plug somebody else real quick.
Okay.
Um, the name is Carl West. I'm reading the book now called The Way We Work Isn't Working." Uh,
Excellent.
and it talks. It's a compelling new detailed roadmap for organizations, leaders, and individuals seeking to gain true competitive advantage. But the premise of the book really is about asking ourselves as leaders the very question is, are we performing at 100% at our task?
Ouch.
And
We don't have to share the answer, do
well, no, it's really a self-reflection. It's what you
we?
ask yourself. I
Hmm.
use this as a reference when I'm talking to other folks as well, in my staff over at the Black United Fund, which I'm the chairman of as well as in my own business. I ask my team that question, right? Do you think you're performing at 100% in your given task that you're given here in this organization or either at my company? And so it's amazing how people respond to that. Really, their mindset really determines, are they looking to lead and be better, or are they content with where they at? It really is based on their
Hmm.
answers. And so I've had some very heated discussions with my team on this book because one person will confess that they're doing 100%. I know I'm at 100%. I'm giving 100%, but I'm like, how can you do that when every month your report is late? And she was like, "What they got to do with it?" I'm like, "Well, if you was on a, I'm like, can't you see the Can't you see that if you was performing 100%, your task, your report every month will never be late, but it's late every month. So clearly, you need to do something to reach a higher level, so that your report can be on time every month." And so, it's a great read, and as well as John Maxwell books. I have 4 or 5 of them, and
Hmm.
so it's been good for me. So I enjoyed your presentation, and I see a couple of friendly faces on there. Hi, Trisha. She just identified herself as being someone who uh, I should know, and so I will
I don't know about
at
that, but
some
I said I
point
read your
down the
newsletter
road.
every day.
So she,
Yeah, yeah,
no,
it's a
no.
great
Well, if you read my
newsletter.
newsletter, then we should know each other.
Well, it's
That's
nice.
my point. We should know each other if you're reading. I like to stay in contact with the people who are reading to just kind of share thoughts and give me new ideas of what to
Hmm.
script in my content every day. And then I recognized Judith from multiple places. I don't think we ever had a chance to really interact, but when I was sitting here, I went on Google and checked you out. So great work. Okay. And other than that, that's cool.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Sure. Sure.
Carl, what was the first book that you held up?
It was John Maxwell's How Successful People Think.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yes. This is like my Bible, really. I'm in this. I go through here every day and just kind of recap at the end of the day
Hmm.
based on my interactions that I have, and I just helps me a lot.
Oh, that is beautiful. I could tell you're a student of Maxwell.
Yes.
I could tell, just the way you describe how you process things.
Well, I love his simplicity. I mean, to me, him and Malcolm Gladwell are 2 of my favorites. They have this simplistic way of analyzing challenges and how to also. I like to deal with people who not just identify challenges but give you solutions to them, and they have very simplistic ideas on how to do that. And I like that. It's not real complicated, just real simple. I mean, look at this little bitty old book right here, right? It's
Right.
but it's as powerful as a book as you possibly can have. Very simplistic, but yet very effective.
Thank you. Did
Sure.
anyone else have any comments about that tool or just leadership in general? All right, I'm going to share my screen, share another tool. Bear with me. No, that's not quite what I wanted to share. I got to get to that other tool, and bear with me. I'm trying to go through tools that I emailed earlier. So this is the Leadership as Fit tool. And again, this is another simple tool that you can use, and this will help you to, at a very quick and dirty, hopefully more quick than dirty, assess your style, your leadership style. It's not the Briggs-Meyer or anything like that, much shorter and simpler. But this will help you to understand, whether or not you like more chaotic environments versus more structured. All right. So, this is the first perspective they talk about is traditional leadership. Do you like control, accountability, stability, predictability, reliability, and maintenance? And, when I came of age professionally, these were the types of environments in which I worked. And I think most of us may have worked in these kinds of environments. Okay, and then you've got the complex adaptive leadership perspective, where there's emergence, innovation, patterns, surprise, creativity, creative destruction. When I read those, I'm like, no, that sounds like chaos to me. I mean, I like innovation, but sometimes in order for innovation to happen, it may be hampered by a bunch of structure, right? And bureaucracy. So here are some questions that you can answer. It's a series of questions, again, scaled questions, A to D, and then you answer, and you do the score, right? You total page 1, questions 1 through 5, and you score them out, right? And then after you give yourself scores, you then color in the area, and you begin to see a pattern that emerges. And you can see that this person is probably leaning more heavily toward the traditional leadership, even though there are some areas in the middle, but this person really, really will probably not deal very well in a complex adaptive leadership environment. All right, and all that is more rigid versus a little bit more flexibility, or a lot more flexibility on the other end. All right, are there any questions or comments there? And I'll that as well. What if you like a combination of the two styles? Yeah, and Trisha, it's not so much of whether you like it, is what you are. And what I was shocked when I did this, I thought I was going to lean very, very, very heavily on that traditional rigid scale. But I ended up, my scores were very, very balanced. That shocked me. I probably was a little bit more dominant on the structure, but by and large, my columns were almost even.
I'm like predicting, because I'm thinking, like, I like the innovation part, like I like being creative and like getting like new ideas, but then now it's implementing them. That's where the structure part of me, the
yeah
comes in, because it's like, okay, well, now we got to get this shit done. So
right
sorry for but like and that's where I think like having accountability and having reliability and like all of that stuff, I rely on that part to make the
Mhm.
idea come to happen.
Yeah.
Where I get frustrated is when it's all these great ideas, but then they just sit there and they don't move forward. And it's like, all right.
Yeah.
That was so,
Yep.
anybody else deals with that, but
I think we all do. And I guess the shift comes from, from planning to actual implementation and project management. And that's always a struggle. Always a struggle. Any more questions about that particular tool? Okay, can you guys see the workbook?
yes.
Or okay. So this is for your eyes only. And these are basically the same questions that were in the slideshow. So you just answer these, print this out and write them out. And at the end is basically an outline for the plan itself. So all you have to do is, you can use these bullet points as titles, and you can modify them in ways that you see fit. And then just, copy and paste the answers that you had above and then refine them so you read it in prose form. All right. And then, and the reason why I included the budget is, some of this stuff is definitely going to, cost money. It's going to require an investment. So it's always good to put that down. All right. Any questions or comments before we sign off?
Valerie, I just want to say thanks so much. I've gotten a ton out of this myself. I'm lucky that I had to make the time because I was running them, because I know how easy it is to, work is always there, right? There's always so many things that we have going on and appointments and commitments. So, what we've done is we've actually recorded all of them. We have kept all of the questions from all of the sessions and the presentations that Valerie has put forward. And then, of course, today we have all the documentation that she just shared with you. So we'll make sure that you get a nice little package of all of that you're able to use. And to Valerie's point, I would say if you can keep it for your eyes only, that's wonderful, to maintain the integrity of her programming. But it's obviously her gift to you for participating in this 4-part series. So I don't know if anybody has more questions. Our website is www.chicagoassociation.com. And on there is a community tab. And there is where you will find some of this information, but we're not going to put everything there because we want to keep some of it just for you. And there's also events that are coming up. We have a networking event on August 17th. I can actually share, if it's okay, I can share the slide with you. Let me pull that up real quick. And this is we have 2 of our clients, and now I have to go all the way through it again. 2 of our clients, the Rotary Club of Chicago and the Business Executives Association, is putting on a networking event at the Paul and Jean Harris home. And that's going to be on August 17th. It will be more of an evening thing, like a 5:30 to 8. They'll be doing tours of the home. There will be, some things to nibble on, refreshments, all that good stuff. So please join us. You'll get information on it, I promise. And then we also are going to be doing a leadership summit. It will be in person and it will be somewhere in Chicago. And Valerie is actually one of the 3 panelists and presenters on that as well. And the focus, we don't have a title, an official title, but the focus is going to be on sustainability. So very excited about that. And that will be on October 28th. So you have plenty of time to plan, hopefully, within your businesses and work to be there. So I just wanted to share that. And then, I'm pretty sure you all have contact information. Mine is at the very bottom left. If you need to reach out for any reason, please just email me if you ever have questions or you can't find something. And then obviously here's Valerie's information if you'd like to reach out to her for any reason. But Seriously, thank you for joining us. It's been wonderful. I noticed there's 2 things in the chat. Let me see what they are. Oh, big thank yous to you, Val.
Yeah,
You
I'm
are
I'm
awesome.
glowing. I'm full. I'm looking at the comments. Thank you. Thanks everyone. Thanks for attending. Thanks for, the wonderful discussion and encouragement as we, go back and forth and all that good stuff. I think we've got a great network here. It would be wonderful if folks can continue to stay engaged with community.
Yeah, it'd be great. On our website, we have a Facebook and a LinkedIn, little icon. Go there and join our groups. We'd love to have you. And when you join the groups, you're able to then post, events that you're having and things that you're doing in your own, work and life.
Mhm.
So that's what it's all about for community. We really just want to connect people with like minds who are trying to do really good things in the nonprofit arena. So absolutely go there. And then, one other thing that I wanted to mention is Trisha Fusilero is on here, and she manages the Association of Consultants for Nonprofits. She's the whole reason Valerie and I started talking. So I owe Trisha a huge thank you. Without
Yes.
you introducing us, none of this would have been possible. Really appreciate that. And Ben, thank you too for helping us run our tech on the back. We appreciate it. Shelby did one of them, but then Ben kind of filled in because Shelby got a little busy. So anyway, thanks everybody. If you want to put your name in the chat, you're more than welcome to with your contact info if you're looking to network, but otherwise join the groups and everyone will know who you are anyway.
Yes. And I just want to acknowledge 2 members of the nonprofit Utopia community. We have Crystal Overton. She's a member of the nonprofit Utopia community. And then we also have Judge Ball Reed here. She's a member of our community as well. Just want to say thank you, ladies, for your constant support. Carl West is not a formal member of our community, but I can't remember when he and I met, but he has been nothing short of a wonderful friend and source of support from day one. And thank you so much for joining us.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, look at this is the first one that we ended almost on time.
Yes.
Everybody have a wonderful rest of your week, and please be on the lookout for some of these events. You can always go back to our website to find additional information. And of course, as much as we can support Valerie, we would love that too. So thank you.